Welcome back, everyone. We have a lot of people in the queue waiting to talk to us. So anything I say is not meant to replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before taking any of the advice. When I woke up this morning, my voice is changing. I'm finally going through either puberty or have a little immune reaction. I feel totally fine. So I took my 4 vitamin D, my 4 trace minerals with that as a spiked zinc, took 4 C, and I'm going to fast for about 48 hours. So that is my little plan here. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, Dr. Berg. Well, that's interesting. So I have this terrible chest cold and all this, and many people might think, well, that's probably COVID. And I got tested yesterday for both the flu and COVID. I don't have it. So I have what I thought was out of vogue, probably what you have, a darn cold. And I've been gulping vitamin D, but I've been listening carefully to the rest of the remedies you just outlined, and I'll get on that. So, yeah, I'm feeling a little puny today, but I can't believe anyone got a test for COVID and it came up negative. I mean, that just doesn't seem to happen.
It's just so interesting that, what is there only one microbe around that's floating around? There's no other microbes. So what? I don't understand that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
A little nutty. But anyway, speaking of, we weren't saying speaking of folks, but let's do speak of folks. Why don't we go right away to those folks that we have in our green room, and we're going to start with Diana in upstate New York. And Diana, if you would unmute yourself, you are on with Dr. Berg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have been healthy keto since August in 2020. Right away, within 3 days, I was fasting and doing just 1 meal a day. And I've lost over 50 pounds. My husband has lost over 60 pounds, and we're really excited about that. But my issue is about sleeping. So November 1st, 2020, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've had trouble sleeping through the night ever since. It really literally started overnight, which was also the same day that we had the time change. Back in 2020 was on November 1st. At any rate, so I don't have any trouble falling asleep. It's just that I wake up in the night, usually at 3 o'clock in the morning, but sometimes I can get back to sleep. Most of the time I can't. So for about a year, I was getting between 5 and 6 hours of sleep. Every 3 days or so, I'd have to take a long nap. And every week or so, I would take CBN oil to get a good night's sleep. But I always felt just a little hungover the next day. Mm-hmm. I've worked with my naturopath and with all of your videos. I don't know how many times she's heard me say, according to the Dr. Berg video that I watched this week, I need to be doing blah, blah, blah. And she's very tolerant of that, which is nice. But so when you started doing sleep videos again, recently, and you were talking about getting 9 hours of sleep for yourself, you outlined the protocol that included taking vitamin D3, benfotiamine, 3 of your sleep aids, the probiotics. So I started taking all of those. Plus I take B6, choline, DIM, holy basil, your cruciferous blend, and your gallbladder formula. I also use a liquid DHEA and a progesterone cream just before sleeping. And about 5 out of 7 nights a week, I'll use a sleep hypnosis track to fall asleep and stay asleep. Again, I don't have any problem falling asleep. It's just sleeping through the night. That new protocol didn't really seem to help until I rewatched it again. And you said that people might have to experiment with how much of which supplements they're taking. So I started to do that. And when I started taking 4 of your sleep aids and 3 of the vitamin D, it worked. It was like overnight, I could sleep through the night. I got over 9 hours of sleep, like 2 days in a row. And then I was getting 8 hours of sleep. And it was like that for over 3 weeks. And 2 weeks ago, it just went all gollywampus again. I'm back to getting about 6 hours of sleep. Only now, instead of waking up at 3 o'clock, I'm waking up at 4:30, which is better, but still not great. So I guess that's my question. What can I do to sleep through the night? And if I wake up in the night, what can I do to get back to sleep? Like last night, I fell asleep at 8:30, and I was up at 11 o'clock at night, and I didn't fall asleep until 1. I got up and I did some stretching. I tried to do another hypnosis thing, which didn't work. I was ready to get up and start working. And the next thing I knew, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. So
Got it. So I have some ideas.
I need some help.
It sounds like potentially cortisol, maybe a little higher, because usually when you get up like 2 or 3, that could be cortisol. So you might want to do the it's called the stress webinar, and I go through all the different techniques. That's one thing, but there's something else. Recent kind of a self-discovery of a confusion I had about melatonin. Melatonin is called it's called the darkness hormone because it's activated by darkness, right? But there's another type of melatonin. You have 2 types. 2 forms. And the question I have is, do you have a fireplace?
No, I do not have a fireplace.
Okay, not a problem. Because during the day, when you have sun out, which right now you're probably not getting a lot of sun outside.
Not in upstate New York.
Right. So what happens during the entire winter is you don't get the sun. And that means you don't get a certain frequency of the sun. The majority of the sun gives off a ray called infrared or near infrared. It's a type of, there's different types of infrared spectrums, but I'm just going to call it infrared. So the majority, I think it's 58% of that sun rays is not UV, it's IR, infrared. That infrared activates melatonin and all the mitochondria. I didn't know that until recently. So, the pineal gland and the blood melatonin is really only like a backup if you don't have enough in your cells. So this happens a lot in the winter where you just don't, because you're not exposed to the sun, then you just drain out your melatonin. Now, I'm not suggesting taking melatonin. I suggest that you expose yourself to infrared. Now, one way to do it is a fireplace, a fire pit outside. Of course, right now, you're probably not going to do that. And you don't have a fireplace, that's fine. But you can get an infrared light, and you can be exposed to that infrared light in the evenings for about 15 minutes. That will help to recharge your cells. So now your backup of infrared is sufficient to help you with your sleep cycle. This is why people sleep better when they're exposed to when they sit behind the campfire or the fire. When they have candles, reading with a candle, which is hard to read, but that's giving you infrared. So infrared is a great way to recharge melatonin. And I'm going to be releasing a video on that shortly, which is just fascinating. So you'll actually, if you get a red light, you'll start feeling like, wow, there's definitely a shift here. What's happening? And you'll sleep better. You'll sleep longer. So that's what I'm going to recommend you try.
So this is a simple, like a special infrared light bulb that I can put in a regular lamp?
There's different types. There's a whole bunch of different types of infrared. I would just go online and find a relatively inexpensive NIR, near infrared, red light. And they come in different sizes. They might be like $35 just but from a little light. And it's like these different small little, in fact, I'll show you what they look like. I buy different, I have several, but this is like one of them, right? So these little lights, that's what it looks like, something like that. And I'm just experimenting with different ones. And then what you do is you just, it's like a therapy for different things. And one of the things that just kind of helps, people have it in their saunas, they have it to help with cellulite, they have it with all these different functions. But I think for sleep and for what you're going through, because you're already taking the vitamin D, which means it helped initially, it sounds like you because the vitamin D helps recharge melatonin too, to a degree. But I think you need the IR. And then in the spring and the summer, just get a lot of sun. And even if you're wearing a hat outside, the reflection of IR is significantly going to go in your body because it bounces off grass, dirt, and other things. So you'll
whenever it's sunny, we go for a walk. Yeah, because of the video where you said you need at least 15 minutes a day without sunglasses on outside to help with the pineal gland.
Right.
So we make a point of doing that.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so
great.
I will bask in the infrared glow.
Yes.
Can I request a video? I know my son has been experiencing growing pains since he was 3 years old. He's going to be 12 next Saturday. Happy birthday. And all of you, we've searched all of your videos, and we would like a video on how to deal with growing pains. My husband is the shortest man in his family, and he's 6 foot tall. My son is probably going to be 6'4", and I know you know because you're a tall guy. Can you tell us or do a video about growing pains? We would really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think in the immediate thing, what I would do is make sure he has the vitamin D, and also find a standard process product out there. It's called pituitrophin, PMG. Pituitrophin, PMG, from Standard Process. You can do an online search. You have it? Okay, start giving him one in the evening before he goes to bed.
All right, well, that's terrific. Well, listen, thank you so much, Diana, from upstate. Thanks for coming on the show with us. And why don't we kick off with our first quiz question of the day, and here it is, Doc.
Okay, true or false? Cooking significantly eliminates oxalates in foods. Now, oxalates are those things that cause kidney stones, arthritis, and they're high in spinach, chocolate, kiwis, almond flour. So the question is, true or false? Will cooking significantly reduce oxalates in foods? That's the question.
All right, very good. Well, let's go right to social media. Mark from Facebook. How can I determine how many calories my body needs? I know you don't talk about calories a lot, Doc. I'm a 54-year-old man, 187 pounds, 5'9". So how can he approach better health? What measure?
Well, you're going to have to, it's a really hard question because there's no preset amount of calories to just really get the exact amount. I would go follow the protocol on my videos, the macros of protein, fats, carbohydrates, follow that, and consume enough food so you're pretty satisfied without stuffing yourself. That's what I would do. I would go by what your body says you have enough of versus trying to go by a calorie amount, because that's just too hard to figure out. I mean, there's so many variables. You have age, metabolism, digestion, the type of calories you're eating. I mean, it's just so complex. It's impossible.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's go over to YouTube. And Judy asked for you to please address vitamin D toxicity.
Yeah, it's very, very, very hard to become vitamin D toxic. It's very hard. You'd have to consume hundreds of thousands over months. The greatest side effect is hypercalcemia. And the problem with hypercalcemia is the risk of kidney stones. So if you were to even do hundreds of thousands of vitamin D over months, and you avoided dairy or calcium supplements, and you drank a lot of water, chances are you probably wouldn't even have any symptoms. So the benefits of high vitamin C versus the toxicity of, I mean, it just doesn't even compare. There's a recent video that I did about vitamin D with a doctor interview. You should watch that. I mean, here's a doctor who studies vitamin D extensively. He has a very large YouTube channel, and he even said what I just said. So if he says it, then it must be true.
Wonderful. Well, here we get some feedback. I know you like success stories, and here's one that is verbal. Anna from Facebook went to my primary doctor, and my labs were fantastic. I'm 67, and she told me you're doing better than a 50-year-old. My A1C was originally 10.5. It went down to 7.8. It would have been lower if I hadn't been given steroid shots. Thank you, Dr. Berg.
Fantastic. I love it. That's so great.
Really is. And other people that are enthusiastic about you and the show, let's go through the list. We'd like to say good morning to our, I've got the same frog in my throat you do. Morning from the UK, Canada, Kuwait, Australia, France, India, Germany, the Philippines, Pakistan, the Netherlands, just a moment, Taiwan, Denmark, South Africa, Israel, Grenada, Austria, Malawi, I've never seen that one before, Greece, Turkey, Dubai, Mexico, Jamaica, Kashmir, Zambia, Romania, Algeria, the United Arab Emirates, Chile, New Zealand, Peru, Nicaragua, Cameroon, Jordan, Switzerland, I think is the longest list yet, Belgium, Italy, and all across these United States. So that is fantastic. And let's see, we don't have a answers back quite yet. So why don't we keep hitting social media for a little bit here? Emma from Facebook wants you to talk about daily required nutrition values. If we eat less calories, does the daily requirements change?
No, if you fast, it will change versus a low calorie diet. If you fast, the need for those nutrients go down because your body becomes more efficient in metabolizing those nutrients. So you don't nearly need the amount of nutrition when you fast, but it doesn't correlate with a low calorie diet because you're eating more frequently. So this is why when you go on a low calorie diet and you don't have enough nutrients, you create stress on the thyroid gland, your metabolism. I mean, take a look at how many people have a screwed up metabolism because they dieted in their past. They went on a low calorie diet. It just destroys the metabolism.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, Terry, our producer, is still tabulating our first question. So why don't we go over to our green room and invite Lisa, there's two Lisas today, and this one is from Ketchikan, Alaska, on a little island. So how interesting. Lisa, you are on with Dr. Berg. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hello, sir. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
My question is, can you hear me okay?
Yep, perfectly.
Thank you, sir. In June 30th of 2020, my husband and I started your journey, following everything. I lost 50 pounds. I do have my picture here. I lost 50 pounds by April of this past year. And in the last couple of months, I have FOMO. I have fear of missing out on carbs, on different things like that. And so I'm doing this cycling thing. I know part of it is psychological. I'm a mental health therapist, so I'm trying to analyze myself. But the other piece is, I know that you've had your own journey, and I wanted to know, because it feels so good to be healthy, yet I have this FOMO thing going on. And tomorrow is going to be the day that we're starting again, but I want to be successful like that again. So my question to you is, I guess asking for guidance on that, because this feels so good. Right. And I keep having FOMO.
So can you just tell me specifically
that is my basic question.
I got it. What do you, when you say you have this fear, like what comes up, like you get this anxiety about not eating carbs?
No, I think it's more of, oh, this pizza would be so good. And then the first 3 bites is like, this is horrible. Why am I doing it?
Yeah,
and
I got it.
So my mindset is that. So psychologically, I can understand, but I know you've been through your own journey. So guidance, please.
Yeah, I was the worst. I did that for many years until I finally go, you know what? So I had to I think it's even good sometimes to go off so you could feel bad. So for sure. So then you can use more judgment, but it's like, I think you can differentiate, wow, I'm going to feel good. I'm not going to feel good. I finally just at some point made a decision. I don't need to do that anymore because I just felt so crappy for so long. And it had to create a lot of body problems to get me to do that. So I think with time you'll come around and you'll shift, but it's just for your own good. It's for your own survival that you don't eat those. And it's like I might see something and I'll go, oh, I really want that. And then I imagine eating it. I'm like, now it's going to make me feel tired. No, I don't need that. So, and then also to take some nutritional yeast or B vitamins if you get that feeling, because that instantly just chills people out. It calms the adrenals. You feel relaxed. That seems, in fact, that's what Steve uses to get through those tough times.
Oh yeah, this show is such a burden. My God, I can barely make it. But with a handful of nutritional yeast, woohoo!
Is it something to get back on it that you would recommend to, like, fallen off the wagon, totally got my mindset again, and different this time? What would you suggest on that piece as far as getting back on to, and, you know, to get back in that place?
So let's say, for example, you decide that you're going to go off the program and you have a big pizza. So just make it a personal rule that then now you have to make up the damage and eat even better tomorrow. So that way you're kind of making up the damage by eating healthier. Let's say you fast longer. So I do that a lot. Like I'll just, like right now with my immune system, I'm going to really handle it by just not consuming any food for 48 hours. Why am I going to do that? Because, I mean, does my body want food? Yes, but I'm kind of in charge and I'm just, no, you can't eat anything. I'm going to get well. And this is going to be faster if I just fast. So it's like, you just have to kind of, one thing I think that a big mistake that people make too with their bodies is they tend to baby their bodies a lot more than they should. It's really therapeutic just to treat your body like, no, you're not going to eat. I'm in charge. And no, you can't have that. Like your body just responds way better than like, oh, let's see, what is my body in the mood for today? Oh, let me just reward it with this or that. Like you want to get out of that whole mode because that just is a downward cycle. So you don't want the body does not respond to sympathetic type things like that at all. So.
Okay.
Wow. Well,
I appreciate your time.
Sure.
And boy, I think we all appreciate Lisa's honesty. You know, it's tough to come on and you know, admit that you have some problems. But I will say in my case, and many others I'm sure, and you discussed, Doc, is the utility of pain. So it was all a pizza tasted great, and, you know, I wouldn't be looking at my blood levels, and a pizza can taste great. But the aftermath for me is awful. And I feel not only the psychological, I feel guilty, but I physiologically feel worse. I get sluggish and this, and then that begets more junk food. And before you know it, I'm just miserable. So I'm really, you know, oddly happy that I don't respond to it at all. And maybe I suffer more than some others, but it again has kept me on track for you know, a much longer or more consistent. Doesn't mean I don't ever fall, but it's pretty rare these days. So anyway, thanks, Dr. Berg, for your remedies for all of us out here. And let's see, we've got an answer to the quiz question, which asks, this was a true/false. Cooking significantly eliminates oxalates in food. And our audience, 70% say true, 30% say false. Who's on the right track?
It's true. It's 100% true. If you cook your food, if you steam your food, if you boil your food, you will significantly lower oxalates. So if you're prone to kidney stones and you want to have spinach, have steamed spinach. If you want to have almonds, then have them roasted, not raw. So you'll reduce your oxalates. If you want a kiwi, Steve, just cook the heck out of it. I'm being sarcastic.
Exactly.
That's a fruit. It's not on the program.
No, that's good. Yeah, if you want an ice cream, well, never mind. Anyway, why don't we kick off? We're a little bit behind here. Let's go to the next true/false. If you would read that for us, Doc.
True/false. Cellulite is caused by a loss of collagen underneath the skin.
All right, audience. Is that true or false? And let's see, why don't we go back to social media here a little bit and see what's cooking up there. And let's see. Anna from, boy, this is jumping up. I'm still having issues with digesting nutritional yeast. Here we go. I've tried powder and your tablets. It all comes back up after I ingest it. And by the way, Diana said she can't eat it, but her cats can. But anyway, and so can I.
I think I would eat it with food. Just eat it with food and let the food kind of chase it down. That's what I would do.
Great. Okay, Paulie from YouTube, could you be the first doctor who could help me with my seborrheic, did I say that right, dermatitis? Please help, doctor. No other doctors seem to be able to help him. That's Paulie from YouTube.
Oh, great. Put all the pressure on me. No, I'm just kidding. I think what I would do if I were you is I would do a combination of two things. I would do infrared for sure, infrared therapy on your scalp, if that's where it is, and then do a lot of vitamin D. And I'm talking about 40,000 IUs every single day. And make sure you have the K2 with it. And I'm not biased of my vitamin D, but I will say it has the K2, the B6, the zinc, the magnesium, the bile salts to really maximize that absorption. So the other thing you could take is bile salts. So that also apparently helps that condition because it stimulates the vitamin D receptor, and that helps the immune system, which actually is underneath that condition. It's an immune problem.
Interesting. Marion from Facebook, what are your thoughts about using, and I know we've got a question about this, olive oil from Morocco? It's supposed to be the healthiest in the world. What do you think, Doc?
I'd go for it. I would definitely go for it. I could imagine it is probably one of the healthiest. So I would jump all over that and start guzzling that stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, why don't we go back to our green room? And let's see, next up, we've got Tony from the UK. Tony, I'm going to unmute you, and you are now on with Dr. Berg. Welcome, Tony. Go ahead, Tony.
Can you hear me, Doctor? Hello.
Hello. Hi. Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
All right, Doctor. I'll just go straight to my first question. Before I start, it's a pleasure to have you today, Dr. Berg. I've been doing healthy keto and intermittent fasting for about 5 to 6 months, and I've already lost about 50 pounds.
Wow.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where my question comes in. I was scared I might be losing weight too fast, and if it was normal for me to lose 50 pounds in 5 months. That's the first question. Is it normal, or is that possible, or
no? It's you should be losing. See, you have water weight too, right? You have water weight. So you probably had at least 10 pounds of water weight, and then let's say you lost between 8 and 10 pounds a month. That's normal. So you're actually perfectly normal. Apparently your metabolism is pretty fast. So that's good. So I think you're right on track. I would not worry about that at all.
Yeah, because I stopped doing that, and because I was worried, and it has led me to have serious anxiety, and now I can't sleep at night because I'm scared. I still go to the gym every day, and I work out every day, and I'm still big. I still need to lose more weight because I was I was obese, and I've lost 50, and I feel more healthy. But the issue I'm having at the minute is that I can't sleep at night. If I sleep at most at 3 or 2 o'clock, I'm awake, and I'm awake till morning, and it makes me worried because I'm just my brain is just all over the place, different ideas coming in. I can't sleep, and I haven't been for the past 6 months as well. So I don't know if there's anything you could advise for that.
I think you need vitamin B1. I would take nutritional yeast before bed. That's a really good one. There's another B vitamin I have called Keto Energy, which has 3 different types of B1, but you need more B1. B1 will make you feel chilled out. You'll feel calm. You'll feel relaxed. I think that's exactly what you need. Now, if by chance it doesn't handle it 100%, then add some vitamin D3 before bed, maybe 20,000 IUs, maybe a little bit more. But I think that would be a perfect combination that would help you.
So is that a B1 and D3?
B1, get it through nutritional yeast.
Yeah.
And or you can do my Keto Energy. It's another type of B1 in a capsule. So that's just another form of B1. But B1 is what you need before bed. You'll stop excessively analyzing things to death.
Well, that sounds great.
You just said it. I really analyze things to death. And just the last question, please. I wanted to ask about your products, because Amazon, because last time you gave us a link, Amazon UK does not have all your products.
Right. It has.
Amazon
We're
UK
trying to get
actually
all of.
doesn't have.
We're trying to get all of them, but right now we have a limited amount. So for those that we don't have, you might want to just go to get it shipped from America right now until I get that figured out. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Because the problem is in different parts of the world, they have different requirements. So you can't put this ingredient in there. You can't put that. So it really creates a lot of complexities to changing the formulas and doing this and doing that, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, that's great. Well, Tony, listen, thanks so much for joining us, and best of luck. And congratulations, by the way, on your Dr. Berg really didn't scold you at all in terms of what said you're doing great and the weight loss and, keep it up and you're right on schedule. So you're one of the lucky ones. You came out unscathed in your conversation with Dr. Berg. So congratulations, Tony. That's fantastic. All right. We've got the answer to quiz question number 2. Let me bring that up for reference. And it asks, cellulite is caused by a loss of collagen under the skin, and 65% say false. 35% say it's absolutely true.
This is going to be an interesting video. It's some new information I found, which is amazing. But yes, there's this one researcher, took him 10 years to realize that cellulite is not a problem with fat. It's a problem with your collagen. It's like, so you have this this net like collagen thing that holds the fat really nice and tight and organized. What happens with when you have too much estrogen, which I'm going to talk about, you then destroy that collagen layer to the point where it's not there anymore. So then now we have nothing to hold the fat cells. So it starts to dimple, it starts to create the cheesy effect. And so I'm going to release a video on what to do about it. You can improve it, but you have to first understand what the real problem is, because if you don't, and you're just exercising and you're wondering, why isn't this getting better after 10 months of doing it? Well, it's because you're treating the wrong problem.
Well, that's fantastic. So let's see here. Let's kick off with the third question. And Dr. Berg, would you relate this to the audience?
Yep. Okay. What is the primary cause of dark circles underneath the eyes?
That's easy. My wife. Oops, sorry. Let me get rid of this guest right here. Just a moment. All right. By the way, we'll be getting to you, Todar, in just a moment. In fact, I feel rude having brought him up and then get rid of him. Let's take Todar on. And Todar, if you would unmute yourself, you are on with Dr. Berg.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
Good evening. In Europe, it's already night. Thank you for having me on the show. Mm-hmm. And I have just one question for you. Actually, I've been dealing with gastritis, chronic gastritis, for the past 4 months now. And I've been also diagnosed with gallstones, which are around 4 to 5 millimeters. And the doctors say it's caused from the gallstones. It's from cholesterol-based gallstones. So what is your advice for me for first thing to do is deal with the gastritis and then start to deal with the gallstones? Or I don't know, like which direction should I take first? Should I take the gallbladder formula? I have it, but I still haven't started using it. Or should I just focus on the gastritis first and then like getting the TUDCA, getting the apple cider vinegar and other recommendations that you also gave on for the.
I think your problem is the same thing. I think you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. There's one big cause of gastritis is bile that gets regurgitated into the stomach, which acts like a detergent and it irritates the lining of the stomach. And so we have that. Now, why would that be regurgitating? And what's the connection between the stones? Well, what causes stones is an imbalance of high cholesterol, low bile salts. So the missing link is bile salts, which is very common. There's a problem if you don't have the bile salts, you get sludge and that can turn into stones. So, and it backs up, it gets regurgitated. So what I would do is I would take TUDCA, 2 on an empty stomach in the morning, 2 in the afternoon on an empty stomach, and then take the gallbladder formula with meals. And you start doing that, and that should start making you feel better immediately.
Well, that's
Also, from the last that I made, the last examination, the ultrasound on the abdomen, they said like there's also a sludge present and the gallstones. Before that was just the gallstones. And
Well,
also
like
I have, at night, usually on the esophagus, I have like a feeling of not burning, but more like watery feeling coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is exactly what I said, sludge. So we have you just need bile salts. Gallbladder sludge is a deficiency of bile salts. That's all it is. And you would think that this would be promoted out there and people would, but there's this missing connection. There's not a lot of data on this, unless you find maybe a textbook on bile salts, which I have all the textbooks, and I found in there. Some of the older textbooks, some of the new ones, they don't put it in there for some reason. So just do what I said and call me in the morning.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you very
great.
much.
Thanks for staying up late for us, Todar, in beautiful Macedonia.
No problem.
Okay, that's great. Let's see. Here's an interesting one that comes up a lot. Of course, we were bragging about Tony. He did so well with all his exercise. Dwayne from Facebook wants to know, how can I maximize muscle growth while on keto and IF? And by the way, in some of our previous, what do we call it? It wasn't a seminar. What was those big gatherings we had?
The summit.
Summit, thank you. There were some real muscly guys running around. One guy that, beat everybody at a 100-mile race on keto, and then someone else that can, lift an elephant and so on. So obviously there's a way to do it.
Yeah, the primary activator of muscle is intensity of exercise. So he needs to increase his intensity and stimulus of like full body, compound resisting workouts. That's going to help him more than anything else, versus just, I'm going to just consume a lot of carbs, I'm going to consume a lot of protein. So he needs to just exercise more with heavier weights, low reps, and that's going to stimulate the muscle growth and help it to maximize the size.
Well, that's very encouraging. Okay, we have answer for quiz question number 3, which asked, what's the primary cause of dark circles under the eye? I, of course, said my wife, but the audience said at least 44% lack of sleep, 20% say low minerals or protein, 20% say stress or high cortisol levels, and 10% finally say kidney issues. Oh, wait, there's more. And 6% say high uric acid levels. Woo, thanks, Terry. That was a mouthful.
Okay, you're all right, but the primary cause is a little different. And of course, if you've been watching my channel, some of you are going to say, I knew he was going to say that. It's hyperinsulinemia. It's too much insulin in the blood. And, if you just look up too much insulin in the blood, which occurs when you start to get type 2 diabetes, and too much insulin in the blood actually causes insulin resistance. So we have a combination of too much insulin in the blood. We have insulin resistance. We could potentially have higher levels of sugar because it's not working that well. But, there's another condition that you get these this discoloration in different parts of your body. So one effect is the melanin increases around the orbits of the eyes. So it's there's a term for it, which I will talk about in my seminar, my video. But the point is, it's too much insulin. But if you look at too much insulin, look that up, hyperinsulinemia. You can't find. They're not emphasizing the solution. Instead, there's like, oh yeah, what you should do is you should take a medication. You should do this, and there is a small mention that maybe you should cut down on the sugar. But carbs stimulate insulin. And why not just focus in on the most important action, go on a low carb diet. It's simple to do.
Well, there you have it. Over to YouTube, Shannon Strickland has been on keto since May of 2019. Still wake up feeling shaky, and then in parentheses, hypoglycemic feeling at times, and I have never been able to fast long lengths. Didn't say why. Not doing keto for weight loss, just for healing. What is she missing?
You need to keep your carbs lower, and you need to eat more fat at the meal.
That's interesting. And keep the protein down, right? That seems so counterintuitive.
Moderate.
Right? Moderate. Yeah, interesting. All right. You know what else is interesting? Our next question.
Okay. What is the acceptable amount of red wine that you can consume after dinner?
Wow. Interesting question. We'll see what the audience has to say. And let me go back to, here we go. Sheila from YouTube. Is sea kelp good for liver or kidney cysts?
No, that's going to be cysts more on the breast that, or the ovaries that are coming from estrogen. That's when you take sea kelp. But when you get cysts on the liver, the kidney, that is more related to, your kidney and liver are trying to encapsulate something toxic. In which case you just need to start eating really clean and let those cysts hopefully eventually dissolve. But if you look up cysts in the liver and the kidney, what it's going to say is like, oh, we don't know what causes it, but in the meantime, make sure it's not growing. So there's not a lot of data on that, but it just makes sense to me that your body's trying to encapsulate something that's harmful. So let's just, eat healthy and avoid eating things that are harmful.
Good advice, Doc. Okay, Chris, and this is a redundant question, but I guess a lot of people are having this problem. Chris from YouTube, Dr. Berg, I follow all of your supplement recommendations, but having difficulty sleeping through the night. I wake up 2 or 3 times a night. Maybe we can recap what all these folks need to do?
Yeah, of course, I have a really good nutritional protocol for that in several videos. I have a sleep aid, which is a combination of things. But sometimes, like I said before, I think if you watched all my videos and you're doing everything, then you need to start increasing your melatonin in your cells, which actually comes from infrared. The sun, which is going to be hard to get sun right now, unless you live next to the equator. But you can do it at a campfire or your fireplace, sit behind your fireplace before bed, or just get an IR, therapy, red light therapy, and sit in front of that for 15 minutes in the evening. That's what I would do if I were you. But it's good for inflammation. It's good for recharging your cells with melatonin, which is going to be a really important video that I put a lot of time into. The problem is not many people are going to watch it because when you talk about melatonin, it's not like a popular topic. People are like, okay, yeah, I don't need to watch that, but it's very important for your health and longevity because one big purpose of melatonin is it acts like an antioxidant. It's more important than glutathione. And if we're trying to live long and we want to prevent oxidative stress to your mitochondria, and by the way, the number one reason why most people die is some version of mitochondrial dysfunction, whether it's cancer, heart disease, metabolic illness like diabetes, then you need to watch this video. So stay tuned on the one on melatonin coming up maybe even tomorrow.
Wow. Well, speaking of melatonin, I have a question, Doc. So, you go to the local, whatever, Walmart or drugstore, and you pick up a big thing of melatonin gummies. I mean, can you get ripped off with melatonin? Do you have to be careful where you get it? I mean, how do you know whether it's an effective product?
Yeah, they add a bunch of other stuff with it, including sugar. I don't recommend even taking melatonin supplements. You don't need to take it.
Interesting.
You need to just generate it with IR. Start having candles in your house.
Interesting.
red lights, go outside and have a fire pit, like that's just so therapeutic. It's so much better than taking melatonin, which, if I took melatonin, I would just feel kind of funky because I don't feel good when I take it. So some people do, but you're taking a hormone and then you're not stimulating a hormone, you're taking a hormone. So you're bypassing your body's ability to create it naturally. And it comes with a package.
Interesting. Well, that makes good sense. I don't think I listened carefully enough before, Doc, but now I'm up to speed. And Nia, I think she's from New York, has been waiting patiently in the green room, and she has a question for you, Dr. Berg.
Hello, Dr. Berg.
Hello.
Delighted to be here today with you. I struggle with fasting, and I have carb withdrawal, I'm pretty sure. I get dizzy, nauseated, and cranky. So I tried MCT oil, and I had a very strange reaction. It feels as though I've actually greased my eyeballs. I mean, it's like the oil goes everywhere, and then I start to gain weight. So I wondered what other alternatives are there to activating ketogenesis with intermittent fasting, if you could suggest some things.
Yeah. So the unique thing about MCT oil is that it doesn't need help from your liver or your gallbladder, which is interesting. So you may want to try a different type of fat to help you fast longer, but the real problem, you're just not adapting like you would like fast enough, probably. So what we have to do is we have to help you fast longer. The key is keeping your carbs lower and lower with that meal. So you might want to I have a video, I think it's called Extreme Fat Burning or Extreme Weight Loss or Extreme Keto, or it might be Keto on Steroids. So if you watch that video, bring your carbs down below like 10 grams. That'll make it really easy to get in the fat burning and then be able to fast longer and longer. So you can do it by adding more fat, but really we want to lower the carbs in the meal to the point where your body switches over. And then once you start burning your fat, boy, you can fast for a long period of time. In fact, like even right now, I have no interest in food whatsoever. I'm going to be able to fast without any problem because I've done this for a period of time. So that's a nice place to be where I could take it or leave it. I could eat food or not. I don't feel bad. It doesn't affect my cognitive function. But for you, the brain is the superior organ for ketones. So if you feel any weirdness at all, irritable, for example, then we know the brain's not getting fuel. So if you can't do the MCT oil, maybe you could do the exogenous ketones. That you can take them as a supplement and get ketones. They're called ketone salts or exogenous ketones as a supplement. And that will at least give your brain ketones so you feel better, so you can fast longer. But let your body tell you when to fast longer. It might just take longer, but keep your carbs low as possible.
Thank you. I'll try to do that without killing somebody, but yes.
Yeah, that's always good. And also take some B vitamins with nutritional yeast if you feel like using strangulation therapy.
Excellent. Thank you, doctor.
Well,
you're welcome.
I certainly wouldn't mess with Nia. I'm sure she can bring it if anybody puts the challenge up to her. And listen, Doc, this is sort of disheartening. We have a bunch of joy killers in the audience. What is the acceptable amount of red wine after dinner? And 95% say you can't have any fun at all. You don't get any wine. 5% say a little sip or something. So it looks like we have a quorum of people that say no fun for people drinking red wine.
If you're drinking for health benefits, you're not going to get any because they it's so interesting. It's like one day they say, oh yeah, that wine is helpful for your heart. You're going to live longer. You're going to lose weight. And then the next day, oh, we found that there is no benefit. There's no benefit at all to any alcohol. So Like I said before, take what everyone agrees on and then do the opposite. And but of course, with the alcohol, unfortunately, there's not a lot of benefits to it health-wise. So I'm just the messenger, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, I read some time ago that French women, I don't know what men do over there, but a big case of fatty liver and cirrhosis from a very moderate amount of drinking, a couple glasses of wine at night apparently really adds up, and they have a chronic problem with it in what are usually very disciplined people. So, maybe these folks with the 95% say lay off are onto something.
In Italy, they do drink. I know this might be shocking to some people, but they do sometimes drink some wine with dinner. And, their bodies will adapt to a certain degree because they have developed enzymes to metabolize that. But you also have some other positive things about certain places in the world, like Italy, like certain parts of Africa and Germany, where their soils are very volcanic. There's a lot of volcanoes that were in Italy, especially in the southern part, that fertilize the soil so greatly that the food is more nutrient dense. It tastes better, like those tomatoes, right? And so they get the benefit of all the nutrition. And so that actually can counter some of the other problems that are like in America. I mean, people from Europe, they move to America and they start eating the food and they just get sick because it's like the soils are so terrible. So it's a combination of things. This is why, I'm going to be opening starting a new channel on just how to grow your own food, just because it's hard to find real food nowadays. And it'd be nice to be able to grow a garden and have your own food and in your backyard and have it really nutrient dense. So I have some really cool stuff that I'm sharing, but I'm actually going through it right now and just getting all the tweaks in place. So it's going to be very exciting.
Well, I'm sure everyone can't wait for that. And this sounds like kind of an emergency. We better get on this question. Mr. Monama from YouTube. My wife had a baby yesterday. Congratulations. But she's not producing sufficient milk. Is there anything they can do to help her, rev that up?
Yeah, she needs brewer's yeast. Brewer's yeast. She can make some keto cookies with brewer's yeast. Look up the recipe on that. Keto version, brewer's yeast cookies, and or just consume the brewer's yeast, and that will increase milk production.
That's interesting. Okay, well, congratulations, folks, on your new baby. I hope you're able to feed it in the natural way. By the way, Emma in Spain, she's on Facebook. She claims they drink wine and don't have health issues. So there's always, opinions galore, and maybe in Spain they've got it down and they don't have a lot of cirrhosis.
Well, here's another point I want to bring up in my melatonin video as well. But you have all these things that produce health. You have the quality of food. In Spain, their quality of food is 10 times what America is. I mean, it's just like, so you have that benefit, which is going to help them greatly. But there's some other factors too. I'm living on a farm right now. And there's two of my neighbors, two guys in their 60s, and they eat like crap. I'm talking, they eat pure sugar. One guy chews tobacco, the other guy smokes. But they don't seem to get sick. They seem to be someone healthy. They seem to be strong. I'm like, what is going on? But what's interesting? They're physically doing work all day long outside in the sun, in the fresh air. And so the combination of physical work, which is very therapeutic to stress, and that infrared from the sun, like I talked about, recharging your melatonin, which is the most powerful antioxidant, that probably protects them greatly. So again, I think there's I'm almost like reevaluating what's really, really important and what's maybe not so important. I think what's really, really important is being more outside and not sitting in front of your computer all day long and you get no sun. That's really, really bad on your health. Not that anyone watching is doing that right now, but typically that was my history for many years. And so got to get outside, got to get some sun every day, go for a walk, expose yourself to nature.
Wonderful. Well, listen, we're going to get to Lisa, who's our last participant from Ontario. But before we do, let's knock out the last question, Doc. True, false, actually.
All right. Okay. Now, you never want to cook with, you never want to cook, and I'm talking about using high heats with olive oil. True or false?
All right, folks, dig into that. And let's go to Lisa, and she's from Ontario, our second Lisa for the day. Lisa, can you hear us? Lisa, can you hear us? You're
Yes.
on with Dr. Berg.
Yes, I can.
Go ahead with your question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Dr. Berg, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. I have a regimen of about 8 to 20 vitamins, minerals, supplements, antioxidants that I've been taking. I have reasons for all of them. First of all, I do have diagnosed Hashimoto's through biopsy. So I take Synthroid in the mornings. After about an hour, I take my A, B, C, D, E with my coffee. My question is, I'm wondering, I'm a little concerned that maybe a lot of what I'm taking is a little much. I had a little incident, very not like my body. For about a week, I had an incident where, I could feel my heart beating harder and faster. And I just would have this feeling come over me. So I don't know if something new that I was taking, maybe doesn't jive with something else. I do have, I believe, gallstones, symptoms. I do have a hiatal hernia. And during those few days too, I could feel bloating, etc. So some of the things that I take bile salts now with my meals to try to help, the hiatal hernia and the gallbladder. So, like I say, I just have a concern on how much is too much, maybe.
Yeah. Again, just make sure that the quality of vitamins are good. Like, for example, your vitamin A, E, D, just make sure they're not like synthetic, because that can irritate the gallbladder as well. Now, as far as your gallbladder, I think you're doing the right thing, but there is something else that I think could help, and it's called betaine hydrochloride. If you take that with a meal, that will actually increase the release of more bile, your own bile production, which is going to then help you digest. And if you combine that with my, I did a video on, if you combine that with a video that I show you on hiatal hernia, where you're actually manipulating the stomach and you're pressing down, I think you should do that exercise every day. You might already be doing that, but that's a really good exercise for hiatal hernia. The other thing that I would let you know about Hashimoto's, and by the way, I think that your pulse rate thing is coming from the gallbladder, though, because that's one cause. So you need to work on that. But the thing with Hashimoto's is it's an autoimmune. So you definitely need vitamin D, at least 20,000 IUs every day with a meal, unless you take it with fat. And then when you're, selenium is another key mineral as well. And then intermittent fasting. So if you go longer with fasting, you'll greatly improve your thyroid because you're going to drop inflammation, and so it's going to work a lot better. So that's what I'd recommend.
So Dr. Berg, right now I take 10,000 IUs of vitamin D. like I say, my ABCD. I just, because I know I have a Hashimoto's, my goal, I would love to be able to get off the synthetic prescription. So I also just ordered sea kelp. I do try to make sure everything I'm getting is organic or pure. My Amazon account last year has been quite active. But again, I just, I did see a video about 2 weeks ago, and it brought me a comfort because I do have occasions with my hiatal that I can feel where it has kind of slipped in. So the very next morning you had a video on, some symptoms of hiatal hernia. So it brought me a little bit of comfort because I was experiencing a little bit of, a little bit more heart pounding, etc. So again, I just wanted to make sure, quercetin, of course, the zinc, things like that, NAC, those are all things that I'm taking with my supper. So, I'm typically just having one meal. If I have two, try to break it up.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're taking a lot of stuff, which is, I tend to take more stuff. Play around with the dosages and see if that doesn't help you. But I will say, you'll probably benefit from a lot of manual therapy on your gallbladder, your pancreas, your stomach, and starting to watch my videos, like on the gallbladder flush video. That's a good one that will help kind of decongest the area of your stomach, which is a kind of a weakness that you have that can create things backing up, making you feel kind of weird. Because realize too, you need that you need the gallbladder and liver functioning well to convert T4 to T3. So there's definitely a connection between your thyroid and the gallbladder too.
All right. Well, Lisa, thanks so much for joining us, and everyone in the green room that had some interesting questions today. We got through all of our questions, and we got an answer to the last one. You never want to cook with olive oil, and the audience, 75% say true, 25% say you can cook away.
Yeah, you can. It has a high resistance to oxidation. So don't feel like you can't cook with olive oil. You can. And believe it or not, it's comparable to avocado oil, which is more for high heats, but avocado oil definitely oxidizes more. So I would go for it.
Well, that sounds great. And also, we're going to go over a little bit in the holiday spirit, but we got to let people know what kind of videos they can expect from you in the coming days or weeks.
Yeah. Cure toenail fungus for less than $2. How to lose cellulite, the updated video. Potassium, the most important electrolyte. The do-it-yourself parasite cleanse, something you could actually go right in your backyard, get the remedy, and make it. So you can finally get rid of all your parasites. How to make puffy eyes disappear. That's actually going to be puffy eyes and dark circles around your eyes vanish. The most important antioxidant is melatonin, not glutathione. So stay tuned for these videos next week. I appreciate all your attention. I will see you guys next year. Have a wonderful New Year's, and stay tuned for more videos.